Good morning, sir. You as well. It's a yeah. Hats off to the Bombers. They got the best of the Hilltoppers last night, but it was a hard fought game. They outscored us 19-11 in the fourth, and we had some turnovers that kudos to them. They forced, but we'll learn from it, and hopefully stack together a nice competitive schedule for next year. And just like we were discussing before we came on air, with basketball in the state of Illinois, everyone gets guaranteed a postseason, and so you try to beef up your schedule during the year and prepare you for those opportunities. And our kids played tough, but hats off to our Jenna and good luck to them the rest of the way. Well, you always try to keep your eyes open and your ears open for grant opportunities. And so we were lucky enough to learn and hear about a grant opportunity. It's called the Energy Transition Community Grant, and it's offered through the state of Illinois by the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, DCEO, in the state of Illinois. They're housed out of Springfield. And a gentleman by the name of Matt Swain is in charge of the grant. And essentially, if you're within 30 geographical miles of a plant closure, so in our case, the Viper Mine coal mine closure, it just closed, but it also went through a significant reduction back in 2020, 2021. That qualifies us for this grant opportunity. And it's a 6-year window that you can receive revenue and funding out of this $40 million grant that's refunded every year. And any government entity can tap in as long as you're within those 30-mile parameters. So there is a formula that they use for the appropriation of this grant, and basically it's a minimum of $50,000 a year plus a job loss factor. So for our case in the Viper mine, back as early as 2012, they had 383 employees. Well, now they have 13 employees. So there's a formula of a job loss factor. And then the last part is your revenue lost. And so they use that formula to appropriate you a percentage every year. And so there's a phase one and a phase two application process, but it's not a competitive grant. It's just a completion grant. So as long as we qualify and we put our name in, we'll get an appropriated amount of revenue that hopefully supersedes how much we lost during the last, at least 6 or 7 years. But we can use that to put funding in for some of the projects we have along the way, like the solar project we have for this summer with the solar panels for our district. We can also use it for existing projects. So Veterans Park, which we've talked about many times on this show, which is going to bring in athletic tourism into our community and help our businesses. We have a bus barn renovation this summer that helps with transportation. And so all of these different things qualify, but we're excited to see what we get. Correct. The NOFO, and that stands for Notice of Funding Opportunity. That's supposed to come out March 1st. And so that's what Matt told us. I went to a presentation over in Lewistown a couple of weeks ago, and he was presenting there. And so the NOFO is going to come out March 1st. And then hopefully by the end of March, we'll complete phase one. And then phase two application process kind of is a head first dive into what you're going to use that money for. And so once we organize those things and send it to the committee, then hopefully by the end of June, we'll be appropriating an amount, at least for this year. But I will tell you that the biggest payout was for Hillsborough School District, who also qualified for this grant. And last year they received $4 million. Yeah. So. Right? Yeah. Like YOLO, you only live once, right? Or, those kind of things. Yeah, I've learned a lot of acronyms, in the last 6 months for sure. So I'm not an expert by any means, but yeah, that is Notice of Funding Opportunity. So Yeah. Well, so you do have to reapply every year, and that's how your new appropriated amount is calculated. So, for example, for this application process, Veterans Park qualifies. So that's about a $2.5–3 million project. And then, excuse me, our solar project this summer, which is about 1.8, but also offers rebates of about $1 million, whether it's through the IRA federally or through state kickbacks. Our bus barn would also qualify this summer. Now, in theory, if those projects are complete, then next year we would dive into our elementary, our 9 classroom addition that we plan on putting on the books here very soon. So, it has to be projects that kind of like the school maintenance grant for $50,000. It has to be projects that you've either completed or are going to complete within the next calendar year. And so we're going to try to be strategic about that, depending on how much funding we get. But there's no limit to what you can earmark it for. No, 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 they have not. So we actually, whether it was, the previous administration just wasn't aware of it. It's pretty challenging to find these grants. And so, I didn't find this on my own. I was informed about it by a very close friend, who is a member of the Prairie Rivers Network, which is a non-for-profit organization housed over near Champaign, and they work with different government entities on helping them write these grants. So we were able to make a connection with Amanda through the Three Rivers Network, and we received a letter of support from the Logan County Board. That is one parameter for the Viper Mine coal plant, and we're also within 30 miles of the CWLP plant in Springfield, and there's significant reduction in production. And so we also received a letter of support from the Sangamon County Board Chairman as well. No, sir, I am not. I promise you that. Mr. Lamke left the bases loaded for me. I just was lucky enough to hear about this opportunity, and he hadn't. It's all. So no worries, Seth. I'm not walking into that spider web, buddy. He's fantastic. I talk to him all the time. He's actually obviously doing an interim over in the Waverly School District. They're in the process of hiring the superintendent for their district as well. So I know I don't believe he's directly involved in that process, but obviously he's helping out the board and loading the bases up for their new hire as well. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we're actually going through a school carbon-free assessment through Ameren right now, and there's about 7 steps to it. And so there's a lot of needs assessment surveys you fill out. They've done some site visits here. And a lot of other school districts around us have probably gone through something similar. We actually went through something similar a few years ago as well. Excuse me, but these opportunities are always forthcoming, and so this is kind of a new phase or a new round of it. And so we're gonna skim through our buildings and obviously take a needs assessment of what's going on and how we're operating, and see if we can run more efficiently and qualify for some kickbacks. But and there's a lot more things going around the district as well. We've got our fine arts department is putting on the school play, The Wizard of Oz, this coming weekend, so we can talk about that. We've got state testing coming up. We've got uh, round 2 of our strategic planning. I know that's one thing that we talked about, so we have set a date for that for April 2nd. So Ralph Grimm is going to come in and help us finalize that. And so a lot of positive energy going on. Absolutely. On our school website and on Facebook. So our school website is a little bit easier URL to roll off the tongue now. It's www.mp23schools.com. It has all of our district calendars and all of our events on what's going on. And then also through our Facebook pages for the high school and grade school. And so we have a new athletics site and a new athletics app as well. And it's through Ballfrog. But if you go on your mobile device, either if you have an Android or an Apple, we have an MP Toppers app for athletics, and then just Mount Pulaski School District. So we have two different apps. Yeah, that's coming up this weekend. So we've got a production for the Wizard of Oz. We've got shows on Friday and Saturday. Friday is 6:30 p.m. It'll be in our multi-purpose gym at the high school. The students have been working really hard. And on Saturday, we have productions at 2 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. also. So we invite the community to come out, bring your kids. They've worked really hard and they're excited for the production. Yeah, so you talked about the boys basketball wrapped up. The girls basketball team also had a fantastic season. They lost in the regional championship at Roanoke Benson. It's kind of the tale of a semifinal game and a final game. We played in the semifinal game. We were down all game to Henry. And then we strung together about 9 points in the fourth quarter and kind of stole that game to get in the championship. And then in the championship, we faced the number one seed Roanoke, and we were up all game. And then they put together a run at the end, and then we let that one kind of slip away. But the ladies played very, very tough. That's also a group that's very young. We return all five starters next year. We won 20 games this year, so we're excited about that. And then certainly, last but not least, we've got three Illinois State scholars for Mount Pulaski High School, and they were Cecilia Davis, Nathan Golden, and Tanner Bishop. And so we're very proud of those three students. We recognized them during our good news segment of our board meeting last month with board resolutions. And we're excited. Next month, we're going to honor two new students, not disclosing their names yet, but we have a few students who have attained the seal of biliteracy for their Spanish work. Yeah, it's going to open up some doors and some opportunities for them, obviously post-secondary. So teachers, students have worked really hard. Our curriculum director, Linda Smith, has worked really hard preparing them to take that assessment. And then, of course, our high school principal, Heather Fricky, has been working with those students as well. No. So an Illinois State Scholar, there is a certain criteria, and I can read that criteria to you. It's fairly short. So in order for students to be named state scholars in the state of Illinois, they must be a U.S. citizen, resident of Illinois, perform in the top 1/2 of their high school graduating class at the end of their 3rd semester prior to graduation, and score in the top 95th percentile on the ACT or SAT. And then obviously graduate in the year they are named Illinois State Scholars. Yeah. Yeah, so kudos to our activities director, Jonathan Jordan. He's been working really hard, and so we're actually going to add cross country as a sport next year. So we'll have boys and girls cross country in the fall, and he's also in the process of adding bass fishing as well for the junior high and the high school. So, but specifically this spring, we've got track and field that we're going to offer for both the junior high and the high school, and then baseball, we have our own baseball team, and softball, we co-op with Buffalo Tri-City. And so we're excited. Our baseball team lost last year in the sectional down in Arcola, I believe, but we return all starters with the exception of one for our baseball team. And we're not going to quite have the track facility completed to host a home event, but obviously hit the ground running in the fall. We're very excited about those things. So we'll be in about 2 weeks. So we did some renovations there. We put some new sod in the infield, some new dirt work in the infield. We put a new batter's eye in the outfield, new scoreboard, new dugouts, and then we removed the old fencing backstop and we put in a padded wall with some 30-foot high netting. So some much needed improvements to that facility. But yeah, here in about 2 weeks, it's going to be ready to roll. Yes, sir. You know, there's mixed emotions on that. You know, obviously that comes with the price, and so we want to obviously be fiscally responsible in everything we do. But you know, there's also the side of injuries. You know, there's and obviously the jury's still out on that. You know, people side different ways, but you know, some people think you get more injured on turf, and some people think grass is more forgiving. You know, I don't know, but we obviously considered. Yes, right. Sure. Sure. Yeah, and all it takes is one time. And, you know, we thought about turf for the soccer/football field, but, you know, at the end of the day, we wanted to go with sod and irrigation, you know, because we plan on using that facility for a lot more than just soccer, which we currently have, or football, which we co-op for, which we're excited to host a football game this fall. So in Mount Pulaski, isn't that wild? Well, you know, we've got round 2 of our strategic planning set for April 2nd. That's a Wednesday. And so we just sent emails out yesterday. We had Ralph Grimm come down on a Saturday and work with us for about 6 hours. And then we're going to bring him back for a 3-hour session on Wednesday, April 2nd to finalize our strategic plan going into school year 25-26. And that'll be good for the next 3 to 5 year run. And so we've got kind of 5 focus points areas of focus, as you will. And so those are safety. That's not just physical safety, but also, you know, a sense of emotional safety as well. And some of these are strengths, some of them are just areas of focus, but this is what we're gonna formulate our plan around. Resources for, a little bit of a growing, special ed population. You know, we have, a vast amount of things we can offer them here. For the opportunities we can't offer them, then, you know, sometimes we place them elsewhere, but obviously for the best interest of that student. So something for us to keep an eye on. Continue to hire highly qualified staff, and so we have a very competitive collective bargaining agreement that we're not set to revisit until about a year from now, but we're very proud of that. Communication, that's a big one with me. We've done a better job there, and we're gonna put some things into play. And then last but not least, a focus on student centeredness, you know, making student centered decisions. So we're very excited for the future.